Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday, and let's get started. Hey, so look, let me ask you a question. The real question is, what do you want financially? And I don't mean just like fluff and puff. I'm talking about specific stuff like money, houses, travel, entertainment, leisure. What do you want financially? And I want you to stay with this question today, particularly as we go tomorrow, because I'm going to tie some other things to this that are going to show you why we get stuck financially. The question, what do you want financially, is designed for you to ask the question and get a little bit specific. In other words, why don't you take a sheet of paper and at the top write down, what do I want financially? And then maybe list out about 8 or 10 things specifically that you want financially. And then write down next to each of those items, how much do you want that thing? Let's say that on your list you wrote down, I want to have a new home. All right? Then next to I want to have a new home, why don't you write down how much do you want a new home? And what happens and what causes us to get stuck a lot of times is the question that we're asking, or maybe how we're asking the question. So this morning I'm going to take you through Power Meet, and I'm going to give you a technique. I'm going to give you that one thing that's going to show you very often why we all get stuck. I used to get stuck like in concrete, and getting stuck is really about the resistance that we have or the resistance that we create. And we're looking at the things that we want, and we're thinking through the things that we want, and we really want them, and then we wonder, why don't we have them? We're doing our best. We're doing all of these things, and we're going here and we're going there. But what I discovered a long time ago is that when I say I'm going to do my best, that's kind of a moving target, because some days my best ain't so much. Some days my best is out of the park like a home run, right? We've all had those days. What I'm trying to do is help you understand what I've gone through, what other people have gone through, what you're going through, and what we're all going through. We're trying to figure out what to do. This COVID thing has been a gut punch to everybody. And right now we've got to figure out, where are we financially? Where do we want to go financially? And how the hell are we going to get there? And so it's not so much about doing your best, because that's a moving target. Some days your best just ain't good enough. Some days my best just not good enough. And what we've got to do is we've got to figure out a way to ask different questions. Not better questions, not worse questions, just different questions. What if I told you that I can tell you why, when you say an answer to what do you want, and you actually have that answer, I can tell you why we don't have it. I can tell you why I didn't have it. And then I can tell you why, when I figured it out, how I was able to change that, transform that, flip that. And I'll do that by the end of today when we do this presentation, this 15-minute short little gig that we're doing every day. And I'll share that with you, because it'll change the way you look at stuff. So what I want to do is suggest a different approach. What do you want really is a very important question financially. I mean, really, what do you want financially? And you got to be a little bit more specific than just saying, well, I'd like to have more money. Because you're going to say, I'd like to have more money. You're going to walk out in the parking lot, and then on the ground there's going to be a quarter, and you found a quarter. All right, well, that's more money, but you maybe weren't specific enough, right? You get my point? That might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but that's actually happened to me. I find a quarter, I find a nickel. So What I think works and what I've discovered works and what I know works is when I changed how I asked the question, when I changed my point of view and I changed my perspective, everything shifted. And I mean, it was like a stick in the head. It was that important and that immediate. What you've got to do is you've got to stake a claim. I mean, you really got to take the flag and you've got to really slam it in the ground and you got to claim it. You've got to say, that's mine. You've got to own that. And there's a couple of things in life financially. There's a couple of things in life in all aspects of our life that simply have to be non-negotiable. You've got to find that part of you that you have, what we call core strength. And you've got to say, look, there's a lot of stuff that's flexible. There's a lot of stuff I can do, a lot of stuff that I'm doing, but there's a few things that's really a hard stop that's non-negotiable. And whatever you want financially, some of those things really have to be non-negotiable, or your attitude and approach to them have to be pretty damn non-negotiable in order for you to actually stake that claim and own that. The other thing that I found that was critical in my transformation from my story back in the day was you got to find that North Star. Your passion has to be a fixed destination that you can depend on while the world around you is changing. You got to have a North Star. That's the stuff that you're looking at. That's the thing that gives you the passion. That's the thing that sets your soul on fire to get up every day and do this, staking your claim, pointing north at your North Star, and doing whatever it takes, not your best. You got to do whatever it takes to claim what is yours financially. And you got to stake that claim and you got to own it. And you got to have a passion. You can't be general. You really got to get specific. And so what I suggest that works for me, what I suggest that works for others is if you've got really that metal of core strength, why don't you make that list and why don't you write down all the things that you want, maybe 8 or 10, and then right next to that, write down how much do you want each of those things. I mean, I really want it. I could do without it. You know, where are you in that course? All right, here's my next question. The first question is, what do you want? And the second question is, why don't you have it? Why don't you have it? You got a list that says, I want a new home. Why don't you have the new home? You got a list that says you want to have a successful business that's growing and just knocking it out of the park. Why don't you have a business that's growing and knocking it out of the park? I'm going to give you the answer here shortly. Because when I figured it out, again, like a stick in the head, it was just an immediate shift in my thinking and an immediate shift in how I was looking at everything around me. Look, we get stuck in two situations. And all of the time, we get stuck in these two situations where we're left deciding, okay? We're still deciding, is this the right time? Is this the best time? Is this the right thing to do? Is this the wrong thing to do? What if it doesn't work? Well, I'm going to ask you, what if it does, right? And we get stuck in deciding and trying to figure out what's the right thing. When's the right time? Will it work? What if it doesn't work? What if it fails? And we never get to the next step of doing, right? Because we're still deciding. When you stake a claim financially and you say, I want X, and you own that and you have that North Star, the thing about it is it's non-negotiable. You've already decided. And instead of sitting on the bench continuing to decide, you got to get on the field and you got to do. Nothing in the universe, nothing in your life, nothing in my life, nothing in the world happens until something moves. So you got to decide, What state are you in? Are you in the state of deciding, or are you in the state of doing? And the two most important words in doing, or the two most important letters in doing, is do, D-O. Do something. Figure it out and do something. If it ain't working, do something else. Is it that it's not working, or maybe you're not asking for help? Do you need more time? Then you're still deciding. And so what we do is we give up that staking of the claim. We give up not pointing to a North Star. We've got to decide, and once we've decided, start doing. That's how it really works. And the reason that we don't have the things that we want financially is we haven't really decided. We haven't staked a claim. We haven't pointed to our North Star, and we haven't said that that's non-negotiable. You know, I got to tell you something. It's just like with a budget or with money every month in and out. You know what? I got to tell you, you tell your money where to go so you don't have to ask where it went, and that's non-negotiable. It's called a budget. Yeah, that's one word for it. But what I'm trying to communicate, what I am communicating, is that's staking a claim. That's you saying, this is my relationship with my money, and this is non-negotiable. I'm not spending any money that I don't tell where to go. So I don't have to ask where it went. The things that we want and desire financially, the reason that we don't have them is we haven't decided. We haven't staked out our claim. We haven't planted the flag and said, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll do my best, but your best won't be good enough. My best was never good enough. And when I learned this, and when I adapted, and when I really could see the power of the mindset, which is really setting your mind to that claim that you're staking out, then I got to tell you, what happens is you'll get on the field and start doing. You'll stop deciding because you've already decided. You're going to transform your life financially. We all have these challenges. It's kind of how it works. But a couple of those important questions that I asked last week, who are you financially, is an important question. How do you choose to live your life financially is a really important question. What do you value financially is a really important question, because it's designed for you to stake out your claim and get out of the mode of deciding and make the decision. That's what I've decided. That's what I'm doing. Now go do something. When would now be a good time to have everything in your life financially that you want? I think now. But we get stuck in a cycle. Are we deciding, or are we doing? What state are we in? And you've got to start doing. If you can't find your North Star, you're still deciding. If you can't stake your claim, you're still deciding. Make a decision, own it, claim it, stake your claim, find your North Star, and do something. The other part is about how to do something. You know, it's not so much about how to do something. It's about doing stuff and figuring out along the way what works and what doesn't work. There's a lot of shit that we do that just doesn't work. All right, well, stop doing that and figure out something else that does work. But we sit there and we don't ask questions. We sit there, we don't ask for help. We sit there, we don't try to figure out a different way of looking at it. We get in a pattern. We get in this routine. It's sort of like my analogy with the dead hamster on the wheel. Don't be a dead hamster, right? Do something, because nothing's going to happen until you move, until something moves. And the thing about it that's so cool is it works instantly. The minute you claim something that is yours, it's non-negotiable financially, your life transforms and shit starts showing up, and you start seeing that this is really that simple. I get that you get up every day, and once in a while, it's kind of a shitty day. I get, we all have that. All right, suck it up. That's just kind of how it works. Your state of mind is really about your state of financial life and where you are claiming or staking out your claim and owning that. And that should be non-negotiable. When it comes to your money, when it comes to your financial security, there should be a whole list of things that are non-negotiable. And when I finally figured that out, everything changed, everything transformed. It was a paradigm shift. It's a powerful, powerful ownership. You own the destiny financially in your own hand by how much you stake that claim and point to your North Star that guides you. Remember, your North Star, it's like my North Star. It's like everybody's North Star. It's a reflection of your passion. It's a fixed destination that you own and you can depend on while the world changes around us, right? If you don't think the world is changing around us, just look at some of the articles that I've written. Just look at the gut punch that we've taken on this COVID shit. And all we do is sit here and try to figure out what's the next step. The next step is forward, move forward, do something. And so we created Wealth by Design to give you that ability to look at a lot of different ways of doing things. But at the end of the day, none of it will work. None of it will matter if you don't own it. If you don't own staking the claim, if you don't own your own North Star. And what I'm sharing with you is the transformation I went through and my story back in the day. And I'll be sharing my story. It's a pretty cool story. It's like your story, which is a pretty cool story. But where was that shift? How did it happen? When did it happen? Why did it happen that way? And if we can't find our North Star, then that's just a reflection we haven't staked out our claim. We don't own it. We put it on a list. Yeah, I want to have, a new house. I'd like to have an investment portfolio. I'd like to have financial security in my retirement. Really? Then why don't you have it? Why don't I have it? Why doesn't Joe down the street have it? Because we haven't staked the claim and we haven't we're still deciding. Once you make the decision and you own that decision that you're not going to compromise, you're not going to surrender, you're not going to give up, it's non-negotiable. I will tell my money where to go, so I won't have to ask where the hell it went. That's non-negotiable. And then all of that shit just changes. And so when you're looking at life and you're looking at your financial life, you probably look at it like I do. All right, well, what do I do here? Do I have enough money for that? Can I go ahead and do this investment? Can I make that purchase? We go through that. But what we've done is we've developed these routines or these patterns of behavior, or these habits of thinking that disconnects us from staking our claim and disconnects us from our North Star. Don't let that happen. You got to own this. And when we ask, what do I want? The reason why we don't have it is we haven't finally decided and claimed it. All right. Have an awesome day. Own it. You got to own it. Why don't you have it? Because you haven't decided to claim it. And tomorrow I'll go into a little bit more how that works. Have an awesome